Welcome back. Did you know that nearly 90% of fire departments across New York State are volunteer-based? With the number of volunteer firefighters steadily declining, I'm joined now by the president of the Firemen's Association of the State of New York, Ed Tace Jr. Hi, Ed. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity this morning.
Why don't you start off by telling us about the Firemen's Association and what you do for the entire state of New York?
The Firefighters Association of the State of New York's corporate headquarters is in Albany, New York, right across from the New York State Capitol. We advocate for volunteer firefighters throughout the entire state of New York, over 40,000 members of our association. We work with legislation, we train, and we educate the firefighters today and the future firefighters.
What are some recruitment and retention challenges facing the state right now?
Right now, unfortunately, the declining residents within New York State, as the people leave New York State because they no longer can afford to live here or the economic values aren't for them here, volunteer firefighters go with them. Those are volunteer firefighters that are going outside of the state of New York. We are working diligently and every single day across the street trying to recruit new volunteer firefighters. And it's a training, it's a lot of training to be a volunteer firefighter. But we're willing to give what we have to give to train you, to educate you, not only to be a volunteer firefighter, but to be a community service.
Tell us about the survey you gave young people across the state about becoming a firefighter and what those results were like.
We did a survey a couple months ago and recruited and surveyed over 1 million New York State residents. This survey went out to non-firefighters, to individuals that weren't involved, didn't have family involved in the fire service, to find out what their needs were and if they were interested. Over 66% of those were interested in becoming a volunteer firefighter. But again, the constraints were there. Do I have enough time? I got a growing family. I work in 3 jobs to keep a living, things like that. And we're trying to overcome those by lightening it up, making it more availability for the training and education on that. We'd love to try to get the training into the school systems, into the BOCES and that, so that the firefighters can take the basic training early on in their career.
Very nice. Okay. Can you give us some statistics on the economic impact of volunteer firefighters on the state?
The state of New York, FASD did back 2 years ago, we did an economic value study saying what the volunteer fire service within New York State does. We saved the New York State taxpayers $3.8 billion in tax savings.
Wow.
That's a lot of money that New York State budget would have to recruit right now if they didn't have the 80,000 volunteer firefighters in the state of New York.
Okay, that's a big deal.
It is. It's very big.
Now, what are some of the other legislative priorities for the Firemen's Association?
We are working diligently. I've been the president. I'm finishing up my second term of my 2-year term as president, and my goal is in 2006, the New York State legislators instituted a $200 income tax credit for a volunteer firefighter, what they get off their income tax credit. And that's been there since 2006 at $200. Cost of living has gone up. Cost of fuel has gone up. And I'm asking, and our association is asking diligently, that the New York State legislators increase that to $800.
It only seems fair, right?
It's there. These volunteer firefighters, young and old, all right, give of their time, their efforts. They put their own fuel in their cars to respond to calls.
Wow.
And we know at gas right now at over $3 a gallon, that's a lot of money for a young individual to want to put into their fuel to give of their time for free.
Now, if someone is watching at home right now and they're on the fence about volunteering, what would you say to them?
If you're interested in volunteering the fire service, I would ask you, this coming weekend is our Recruit New York weekend, our 15th annual. We do and we ask you we open their doors of the fire stations across the state of New York to welcome people to come in, show them what the volunteer fire service is about, to introduce them to the fire service, and just come in and say hello. A lot of people don't understand that their local communities are protected by volunteer firefighters who get paid nothing for what they do. And the volunteer fire service in the state of New York will never say no.
Yeah.
You look in Buffalo in Christmas week in the snowstorm we had here, the volunteer firefighters were the ones out there helping
Absolutely.
communities.
Amazing work you guys are doing, but you need more people to continue to do what you do. So if you or someone you know is interested in becoming a volunteer firefighter, visit fasny.com for more information. Thanks again for coming in, Ed.
Thank you very much.